2020 was a miserable year. We almost went to war with Iran, a global pandemic hit, and it's civil unrest. But when it comes to a tragic year like 2020, there's going to be a lot of literature or music written about it. But I've also taken note that there's a lot of songs and albums that have very 2020 themes that were written a long time ago, as if they predicted it. So I've gathered a list of 10 albums that portray 2020. Number 10, Deadwing. Written by Porcupine Tree, Deadwing, and to my understanding, is a comprised list of ghost stories. It's like Lazarus arriving somewhere but not here, or Mellotron Scratch. But the title track Deadwing tells the story of a man whose life took a dark turn after a tragic event. And thus the metaphor Deadwing or also can be used as the broken wing that couldn't fly, or the bad wing that couldn't carry his life to a better path. Or just bad luck. But if you want more proof, I was listening to this song while on a road trip, and these lyrics really give me that 2020 chills. Let's take a listen.
Like a cancer scare in the dentist chair, sucking in the air while across the stair, kicking down the door at your local store with the world at war, voices through the floor, unexpected news, wearing high heel shoes, blowing out the fuse, paying all your dues, Deadwing lullaby, like a fractured tie, it's a worthless lie to the public eye.
Very chilling. Still, pretty awesome album. Number 9, Touched by the Crimson King. Written by the duo Demons and Wizards, which consists of Hansi Kirsch from Blind Guardian and John Schaefer from Iced Earth. Touched by the Crimson King is actually based on the Stephen King's novel The Dark Tower, which tells the story of a mysterious structure in the very center of the world that is said to be the very thing that keeps the world together and functions the way it does. But in the meantime, there's a demonic entity that's there trying to destroy it, and so he can rewrite the world in his own image, aka the Crimson King, or you can call him the Antichrist. And an entity that's trying to take over the world. Who does that remind you of? Sounds very familiar when it comes to 2020. And it's not just the title track Crimson King. And it's the rest of the album, I think, is all part of that story. A Gunslinger, that's a song in the album, which is in the story. The rest of the songs, I don't know I don't know if they're in the story. I don't really know much about the story. But like songs like Terror Train and Beneath These Waves, Love's Tragedy Asunder. I don't know the full story, but that's all I know.
About today's
Number 8,
professional parents.
It's bad for you.
These obsessive.
You thought this list was just limited to music? No! Stand-up specials count as albums. They're on iTunes and Spotify. It's bad for you. George Carlin's last stand-up special before his death 2 months later, tackles a wide range of political topics such as afterlife theory, children issues, civic customs he doesn't understand, and that parent, and because of those civic customs that he questions all the time, it's because of the parental issue. It was that parents have pretty much brainwashed kids to believe stuff, and believe stuff and just listen to everything, so they never learn to question things. And especially bullshit like rights and freedom. One of his lines is like, there's no such thing as rights, they're just an idea. It's a cute idea, but that's it. And later he also mentions that people when asked where do their rights come from, they say they come from God. and that if God really did give you these rights, he would have given you the right to some food and basic survival needs. God would have been looking out for you, which that quote could be used against the people that refuse to wear masks because of freedom. That, hey, if God gave you these rights, he'd want you to use them responsibly, and he would have been there to help you out. So if God just came down to earth and seeing how you were abusing your freedom, he would have just yelled at you, "Hey, put your damn mask on." Listen to the God podcast on any podcast app you have. He's very funny. I worship that God now. I used to be Catholic, but now whatever religion this God is, I'm in that religion now. Number 7, The Incident. Oh yes, another Porcupine Tree album. Porcupine Tree's last studio album before Steven Wilson decided to just end the band. And Steven Wilson took inspiration from this album after witnessing a car crash, which then made the 150-minute track, which is a comprised list of a bunch of stories in the media. One of those stories is The Blind House, which is based on a story about a religious cult in Texas that had to evacuate from their compound by the police, but the members have never seen the outside world, and all they know is their cult leader that have been feeding them lies to keep them inside their compound. And in this article, after Stephen read this article, the look of shock and horror on the members' face is what inspired him to write the song "The Blind House." And that look of shock rarely explains like the feeling we got when they started loosening restrictions and we decided to go outside and explore the new world with even more COVID than before quarantine started. Another story that speaks 2020 is Octane Twisted / The Seance, which is also based on a story of a family discovering a dead girl next to a river. And they perform a seance to contact the girl's spirit. And let's take a listen at these lyrics, because they sound pretty familiar to me.
We go following sorrow to free your blood spilling out of the reeds there. Give me a sign I can breathe there. Blood flowing out of the stream there.
Following in sorrow to free your blood spilling out of the reeds there. Give me a sign I can breathe air. Give me a sign I can breathe air, which kind of speaks to the wildfires on the West Coast and coronavirus, which both follow the theme of 2020. Give me a sign that I can breathe air. Or just, I can't breathe. Which, that's not what the song's about, but it works in that way. Number 6, Clockwork Angels. Oh yes! Our first Rush pick. A full concept album, which Neil Peart, the drummer and lyricist of Rush, also turned into a novel. Clockwork Angels tells the story of a dystopian future where society is controlled by the Watchmaker, who is a fascist. And because he's a fascist, there's another character in the book called the Anarchist, who's trying to free everybody from the Watchmaker's control. But that would also mean total destruction of the world. Which one of the quotes mentioned in the book by the main character is "You two are both extreme," in which that really says a lot about our political divide we have today. How Republicans think Democrats are totalitarian, while we think Republicans are kind of anarchy, basically, because they value a lot of freedom. Which, to settle our political divide right here, I'm gonna say this: we're both two sides of the same coin. But here's the thing. Just because we have more, just because we have like we're kind of more restrictive, that doesn't mean we're totalitarian. And even we have more freedom than Canada. And they're not considered totalitarian. And not to mention, and Republican Party, you're closer to an extreme known as anarchy, which you wouldn't want anarchy either. I understand that you're trying to get away from totalitarianism, but you're also one step too close to the other extreme in anarchy. So that whole concept of political divide, and not to mention the whole story is set in a steampunk universe. There's where just alchemy and stuff. I don't know. I don't think I have anything else to say. Hey, that was the best example I have for that album. But the rest of it, judging by like if you were set in that story, especially the lyrics of Headlong Flight. You know what? I don't know. Just listen to the album. I give up now. And that's all for part 1 of 10 albums that had Portray 2020. I can only do 5 today, so click here to see the part 2 when it comes out.